Hello, David.
Hi, how are you doing?
All good, man. All good. How are you?
Good.
Good stuff. Star boy.
So could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure.
Where you grew up, where you went to school, etc.
Yeah, sure. So, as you know, my name is George, aka Kojo. I grew up in Wembley, northwest London. I went to schools in and around northwest, West London. Did my GCSEs and A-levels in the same high school. A-levels I did were maths, history and business studies. I got 2 A's and a B. It was 2010, quite a long time ago. I got 2 A's and a B. Then off the back of that, I went to Cass Business School, did banking and finance, and I graduated in 2014. And since graduation, I've been working at Nomura, so I've been here for just over 5 years. Currently working in the investment banking space. Previously worked in finance, in product control, and various other roles in the grad scheme. Once finished the grad scheme, I moved over to banking, which was 2 years ago. Exactly 2 years ago, actually.
Once you finished your A-levels, you chose to study a finance degree.
Yeah.
What made you pick finance?
To be honest with you, whilst I was doing my A-levels, I used to study at the LSE library, and I often see the Financial Times, and you would see like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, all these big banks on the front page, and they're basically saying they get paid a lot. So I don't know, I kind of saw my education at that stage as a kind of return on investment. So if I'm going to go to uni, what sort of subjects is going to get me the highest salary? That's what I thought at the time. I know it might not be the best way to think, but for me, that's kind of, I think at any level, you need to have a level of determination and something to spur you on. At that time, it was the fact that bankers got paid quite well. So I did a bit of research, looked into some roles, went to a few events, and I went to an event at City University, and that was the early university I saw at the time that did banking and finance specifically. And from there I went to the event, spoke to some of the lecturers, and it sounded like quite a good degree, something quite interesting. So I applied, and unfortunately I got in, and the rest is history. I think, I wouldn't say go into something that you hate because of the money, but I mean, it was a way for me to have an interest in a subject. I was decent at maths, decent at business studies, decent at economics. But I think my strongest skill was probably history, but I just didn't see where that was going to take me, history. So I thought, go down the banking route and have a kind of career, I guess, a career which I could envisage at that stage.
So a lot of students at the moment have just recently started university.
Good luck to you guys.
So
Freshers Week and stuff. Make the most of it. Well, this will go out after Freshers Week, I guess, or in the midst.
So some unis have started. Some are just starting this week.
Well, I hope you enjoyed. If not, it's coming up for you. Make sure you enjoy. Network, meet people. Because Freshers is a good way to. Because for me, even actually, my Freshers Week, I met loads of people, and the people I met weren't necessarily people I would initially warm to, or people I would naturally gravitate towards. But these guys gave me the best advice. They were telling me, mate, I know it's your first few days, but if you're doing a banking degree, you want to be getting internships and work experience. So focus on that. There's lots of programs for first years. Like I came here to have fun. I'm being told now to find some work experience. But you see, like it's very eye-opening and very helpful because they can help me with the process, understanding how to apply, what sort of events would be most useful for me, what companies to reach out to, like SEO and recruitment. So I think Freshers Week is have a lot of fun, yes, but also think about your professional development during that time as well, because I always say your network is your net worth, right? People strive and do well based on information. The more information you have, the better informed you are to make a good decision. So I think make sure you expand your network and speak to as much people as possible in freshers.
Reflecting on your experiences at university, what would you do differently? Oh, yeah.
Given now my interests and my things I like to do outside of work, like traveling, I probably would have done a year abroad. But it was tough. I did a placement, so at the time I was interested in doing a year abroad, but not passionate about it. I just had it was either a work experience or a year abroad. But in hindsight, I had quite a good relationship with my course directors and lecturers, so I could leverage that to perhaps do a 6-month internship and a 6-month study abroad. That's one of the most significant things I would have changed about my university experience, getting some international exposure, because it's a good way to get to know a country really well by studying there, because you actually live there rather than going on holidays for 2-3 weeks, right? Going on holidays a bit different. But you're there as a student living there for 6 months, you're going to get a real feel for the country and the culture there. So that would have been nice. In terms of everything else, I think I'm not sure as much I would have changed, to be honest with you. I guess looking back now, I could have put some of my efforts into different spaces. So overworking on some subjects and not getting the grade I wanted, maybe I could have been a bit more efficient with my studies. Because to be honest with you, when I first started out, I was studying in the library probably between 6 to 8 hours a day. I was in the library. In my first year, I got a 2-1. Second year, I got a 2-1. And then after doing my placement at Morgan Stanley, I kind of realized, damn, like once you start work, your time is very limited. At university, right? Your time is kind of your own. You have to go to lectures every day. You have to turn up. So you can be doing other things to build up your career or just other interests. So, for example, I could have worked from a different country. If I was like revising for an exam, I'd have to be in London in the university library, right? I could be exploring another country and studying there for a few hours a day rather than doing 9 hours a day and still getting your 2-1. You know, I could have been had a bit more fun in that sense. But also I could have also used that time to go to events or networking sessions or things like that. So I think the year abroad really helped me to kind of focus a bit more on myself and be a bit more efficient. Post my placement at Morgan Stanley, I started going to the gym regularly, playing football, started traveling more, just more efficient, you know, get the work done and then try and enjoy yourself a bit or have a break rather than continuously working. So I remember even my dissertation, I finished that early, had a first draft, I went to Miami for 2 weeks and then came back and submitted it and I got a first in that. But in all my previous stuff, I was getting 2-1s and low first. I got quite a high first in my dissertation. So I kind of learned basically it's not all about work. It's about working smart, which I think is quite important. It's quite important. So I guess, to answer your question in a nutshell, I'd have probably worked smarter and also looked to get international experience as a student.
So for a lot of students at university, networking and I guess in a professional environment is quite a new thing for them. What kind of advice, suggestions would you give to those students?
I think you just got to. First of all, you need to go to these events with a purpose. You need to go and think, at the end of this session, what do I want to get out of it? Do I want to get people's business cards? Do I want to find out something about the company, something about a specific role or job? So do that first, and then that's going to help you to kind of use your time at the event more efficiently. So there's 10 people from a company at the event, and they all work in different areas. You kind of automatically pinpoint the one who works closely to the area you're interested in, rather than just going there and talking to people who don't work in area you're interested in and wasting yours and their time, and then think at the end, oh, I wish I spoke to this person who actually works in that role. So it kind of helps you to make the most of the event if you kind of go prepared with what you want out of it. In terms of approaching people and people being a bit nervous, I would just say, I guess, typically at the events, it's people that want to be there, right? People who go to these events, they've got their day jobs. So if they're at there and they've got things to do outside of work, so if they're there at the event, then they want to be there. So that's an initial thing that should make you feel comfortable. Because they'll be friendly people, right? If they don't want to be there, then they wouldn't be there. This is all about volunteering. They're not getting paid to go to networking events with students, right? So if they're there, they genuinely care about students and helping them come through, which I think is very good. So yeah, don't feel nervous. And then maybe go with a friend if that makes you feel more comfortable, or a group of friends, give you some comfort, and speaking to new people.
You mentioned that when you are doing your A-levels, you'd often go to the LSE library. I'm assuming this isn't something the standard student necessarily does. So it sounds like you're quite a keen student during your A-levels.
I guess so. I wouldn't say so. I think I'm pretty... Well, I guess actually, looking back, probably flipping keen actually. My friends are all out playing football and going to cinema and watching EastEnders and stuff. So yeah, I guess so. However, what drove me was, I remember initially, I wasn't really the best student. I guess I was fairly bright, but I didn't know that I was fairly bright until my GCSEs. I got suspended for something really stupid. I can't remember what I did from school during my GCSEs. And I had nothing to do. I was just at home before my exams. I was like, so I started studying. Literally 2 hours a day, I'll just study. Just 2 hours, nothing. Did my GCSEs and I came out with, I think, 5 A's and 6 B's. These times, teachers were telling me, my mum, at parents' evening, I'll be lucky to get a C in my English, and I got an A, 2 A's in English. So you can kind of see there's a bit of a gap there. But yeah, so I guess I was inspired then, and from then I kind of realised, okay, if I can set a bit of time to study. That's the first time I actually started setting time to study. The first actual time I had a bit of a schedule before I get homework, maybe do it, maybe not do it, whatever. But here I was sitting down, scheduling 2 hours a day and getting through work. And from there, like I said, I got the 5 A's and 6 B's. I thought, okay, man, I can do something. Maybe go to college, do A-levels. So I decided to stay at the school and do A-levels. I used the same tactic, 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day. But obviously, A-levels aren't as easy as GCSEs. So doing 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day. Then one of my friends, he used to go to LSE and study. So I tagged along, and this was in the summertime. So I tagged along just before the exams. And I came out with 3 B's, a C and an E in physics. So I thought, oh, okay, it's all right. It's not the end of the world, but top unis want 2 A's and a B. This was like 2008, 2009. So it still wasn't like A stars. They weren't available at that time. So it's 2 A's and a B. So I thought to myself, what about if I go to LSE every single day from the time I start my A2s? So the year after, if I can do all my exams again, go to LSE every single day and study every day, then boom, that time and effort should lead to better results, right? So I did that. So in my lunchtime, break time, I'll be studying. Like, I'm not sort of guy I'm not like a particularly studious person. That's the thing. I'm more of a people's person. So I wasn't really worried about losing friends or whatever, because I always had friends, and I was, you know what I mean? I was always quite a personable person. So that was fine. Like, I still had my friends, I was still doing my mischief and having fun. But I just wanted to spend more of that time studying. And I guess it did pay off, because in my A2s, I redid all my exams again. All the ones that I got lower than an A or B, and redid them all. And I finished that year with 2 A's and a B. And that's when I kind of realised, okay, fair enough. You know what I mean? I did fairly well. And that's kind of when I used that same tactic in uni early days, and it didn't really work, because there's a lot of textbooks at university. There's a lot more modules, and there's a lot more textbooks, so you can't really go through every single textbook, right? You've got to be a bit more efficient. You've got to pick out certain topics. You might cover 10 topics in a term, and only 2 come up. These times I'm there covering all 10 topics like a mug. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that experience kind of taught me about efficiency. like the same efficiency doesn't work for each particular task. You got to be flexible. That's what I learned when I went to Morgan Stanley. So yeah, I guess it's just about spending your time in the right way, and assessing. You spend your time, it doesn't work out for you, change something. If it's not working for you, there's no point doing the same thing over and over again. So, what was the question? Well, for the tangent, you can cut it, or do you want it to flow?
Yeah, the flow is good. There's a lot of things which are
Kind of like parallel, isn't it?
there's a lot of things which are tacit. You know, the stuff that is there, but it's very difficult to pinpoint if you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And the flow helps to uncover those things.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So your time at university, how did you feel spending that time at university helped you in the way of social mobility?
What do you mean by social mobility in terms of like my surroundings, or more about like
Yeah, I guess in
diverse
terms of
environments, or
yeah, your perspective, I guess.
very good question actually. That's a good question. Very good question. Because I grew up in Wembley, right? Wembley is quite a ethnic part of London, so you don't typically come across a lot of white people. You don't come across a lot of Western Europeans. It's mostly like, well, there's a lot of, I guess, immigrants around that part of London. And then I went to school in Uxbridge, which is West London, where I was a lot more white English based, which is quite funny. So I had a lot of white English friends, which I didn't have a lot of in Wembley. Then I went to uni, and blood, wow. All of a sudden I've got friends from France, Germany, Sweden, Thailand, Russia. Rah, for me, that was mad eye-opening for me. That was crazy. And it's funny, like you go to a lecture room and they're all sitting in their little corners. So you have the French guys, the German guys, the Israelis, and I'll just walk and sit next to any of them. And I was friends with pretty much everyone on my course, and probably even in my year at CAS. I was quite a popular chap for various reasons, mostly good reasons. But yeah, that's very interesting, man. I remember that. I was just like, flipping hell. It's almost like I didn't know these people existed. Like, I never been in contact. It's crazy, right, saying that, but I've never really been in contact with somebody who is fresh from France, or fresh from Germany, fresh from Sweden. So that was actually quite cool. I think that helped me to expand my thinking, and obviously my network, but definitely the way I saw myself and saw the world. And I think that's kind of what triggered my passion for traveling and seeing other parts of the world as a professional. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock, but it's something that I embraced. You know, I wanted to know more about these guys and their culture and the upbringing, because social mobility is also about class as well, right? So a lot of these guys parents are very wealthy, you know, they own companies, and before that I had no friends who owned companies, or, you know, particularly wealthy parents. So that was quite cool, man. It was quite cool to be in that environment and being an outlier. You know, I kind of used that to my advantage. I never saw it as a particular weakness, you know. I kind of saw that as a strength, if anything. You know, I was a bit more rough than they were, brought up a bit differently. I was stay off my own back, you know. My mum didn't tell me to study all those hours. You know, my mum would be happy enough if I worked in McDonald's as a manager or whatever. You know, there's no pressure on me to go into finance or to have a career. So it's quite nice to have that sort of difference in cultures and class. Like I'd say, helped me to learn more about the world and how the middle class and the rich folk go about their business. You know, it's different. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool, man. I think I navigated well. You know, I made a lot of friends, made a lot of contacts, and that directly helps you into the working environment, because someone like an investment bank is very diverse, right? You've got different desks, different trading desks which are dedicated to specific regions. You've got different banking teams which cover particular regions, South Africa, Nordics, Germany, Iberia. So yeah, it was a nice transition. There was no shock when I came to work. I kind of knew what to expect in that sense, having gone to business school. But I imagine if I came from a similar background as I had growing up and straight into banking, it would have been a huge culture shock, man. Huge culture shock. Because even in my class, about 80 people in my banking class, and maybe like 2 or 3 black guys, and in total probably about 7, maybe up to 10 British people, including me and the black guys. So you can see that the class was very international. Like the English people were a minority. So yeah, got to learn a lot.
So I'm guessing during your time working in banking so far,
yeah,
you've seen where a lot of interns will come in and not necessarily knowing some of the more established but by and large unspoken rules within the firm in terms of manner of going about certain things. What are some mistakes perhaps that you've observed interns making, and what kind of suggestions would you kind of give to them?
To be honest with you, I don't really, nowadays I'm not so close to the interns, right? I see them, speak to them, ask their names, ask the university, whatever, but I don't really socialize with them outside of work. But I remember when I was interning at, I think it was here actually, at Nomura, there was an intern. And I think in the first week, he went for drinks with his team. Drank so much, he got sick in front of them. So you can imagine the division they had. And ever since then, he kept bringing it up. And when we finished the internship, he didn't get an offer. So that's kind of an obvious one, Don't make yourself the focus of attention for the wrong reasons. You don't want to be in that space. And that's something to easily avoid, right? Why you don't want to get excessively drunk in front of your colleagues. It's not the best thing to do, is it? Especially as an intern. So things like that are easily avoidable. Trying to think what else, if anything else interesting happened during my internship. I think it's about respect. Overall, it's having respect, man. Respect people's time, respect your own time, respect yourself, and just understand that you're there to learn, really. So might be some stuff that you don't like to do, but at the end of the day, you're there to learn, right? So try and think of the positive side of it, right? If it's a bad job and you do it really well, it'll make you look good. So I think any sort of task you're given, just make sure you do it in the best way you can, because that's going to basically add brownie points to your end of intern bucket, and that bucket is kind of what is used to decide if you get an offer to come back or not. And I'll just add as well, to add to the respect thing, I've seen a few situations where interns have come in and they think that they're like smarter than people already at the firm, whatever. And that's fine to think that. It's fine. It's great. It's good. You will like that. It's adding value and challenging the status quo. But there's a right way to do that, right? So if you are one of those people who are actually smarter than, or have ideas which you think are better, then it's important to portray that in the correct way. So you don't want to be like splurting and speaking to people outside the team and, talking bad about your team doing this or that, and you've got this really, really good idea that the best thing to do in that situation is speak to the team member who's responsible for that particular process and flesh it out with them, Suggest the improvements or the ideas that you think would benefit the team. And maybe it might be better to speak to your buddy or mentor first, and they can help you to articulate yourself, because maybe there's a particular way that particular staff member likes to communicate. So, and they might know them better than you do. So, give some insight into the best way to communicate that. So I think it's effective. Yeah, get advice. I think in general, if you're ever confused or you're stuck, you're not sure. There's a lot of people in the program to help you. There's a lot of I know you get a mentor, you get a buddy, and there's the wider team as well. So never feel like you're on your own. If you're unsure about anything, you want to challenge somebody or something, just get advice. There's no harm in that. No harm. If you challenge it, if you speak to somebody and they tell you that, oh, I understand what you're saying, but that's not really going to work, or we think you've kind of missed the point here, it's fair enough, right? It's fine. I think if you challenge something and you're wrong, they would appreciate the fact that you're challenging things, But let's not go challenging everything or things for no reason just to look good. But I think if you have a genuine sort of point to make, definitely make it. Definitely make it. And I kind of think as Black people, sometimes we kind of leave that side of us to outside of work. We don't really want to appear confrontational, or we don't want to appear aggressive or whatever. But I think it's important to bring that side of you to work as well. Because if you're on the trading floor, right, those guys, they are or they want to be aggressive. So why are we coming to work and leaving that side of ourselves, our characters, outside of the office, bring it to the table and use that as a way to add value?
Have you ever felt that at work you've had to code switch, being a Black man working in the finance sector?
Yeah, I don't think I've purposely ever code switched, but I think naturally I have. Obviously, there's things like, do I speak outside of work with my friends? It's different. Do I speak with my seniors at work? Because that's just a common sense thing to do. As a person, I don't think I code switch. I think I'm the same person inside of work as I am outside of work. If you know me at work, you see me outside of work, you kind of understand who I am. I'm not a different person. Obviously, my what I like to do outside of work is different to what I like to do at work. So that's just a standard line you draw. I don't think anyone can bring all themselves to work, because you have interests outside of work that might clash with what you do at work, if that makes sense. So something like, you might have to party on the weekends every single night. You can't party during the week because you've got work. So that's a little example there. Someone else might be discussions about race. I discuss that a lot with a lot of my colleagues, my ethnic colleagues, but I might not discuss it as much with some of my white colleagues. That could be a part of it as well. And that's just because I guess I don't really, if I don't feel you're aware about certain major issues, then I'm not really going to bother spending my time to talk about events. Like, you see in football, recently there's been a lot of racist issues, Raheem Sterling, whatever. And I know people have seen it and they talk about it amongst themselves. And I'm there, I'm like, why would you ask me what my thoughts are? It's like they're scared to talk to me about it. Like, if you're not going to talk to me about it, then I ain't going to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? So I guess that could be a part of it. That's just me. That's just me personally. That's me personally. We're actually in the middle of setting up a BAME society here at Nomura. So it's called The Embrace. So hopefully that can help to educate anybody who's not so educated on ethnic minorities and race. Yeah.
Could you give us a bit of an insight into what your work tends to be like day to day?
Yeah, so I work as a business manager in the investment banking team, specifically in advisory and coverage. So essentially I look after M&A, equity advisory, and then a bunch of industries and geographies. And we basically help the group heads of these teams to manage their business. So that's by providing pipeline analysis, revenue analysis, looking at their client strategies, how they're targeting clients against particular KPIs, and then we'll help pull together materials for global offsites for senior management. So we work closely with the head of investment banking and provide him with a range of management information. So it could be things like where bankers are spending their time and effort, how much meetings they're having, what their sort of client structures are. And then we also chair committees. So anytime there's a new deal coming into Nomura, a new M&A deal, it has to go to committee to get approved. So we sit on that committee and kind of analyze each deal, and the chair would come up with a approval or rejection based on the parameters which we outline if they're met or not. So things like minimum fees, resources required. Obviously, there's the basic things like conflict checks, making sure that the client we're working for has been KYC'd and that there's no conflicts with any other things that are being worked on at the same time. There's a range of things we do. We help with the creation of new projects and clients. So it's quite a dynamic role, which is why I like it and why I moved from my prior role in product control. But that role was quite autonomous, kind of doing the same thing every day, looking at P&Ls, the month end comes, you do the balance sheet recs. So I got a bit bored of that. This role was a lot more dynamic.
Before you go on, what is KYC?
KYC is know your client. So before you can transact with any new client, they have to go through the KYC process, and that's where they check to see if the client is fit for purpose. So they make sure that the client is safe to transact with, safe to carry out the transaction. Yes, know your client. So all firms go through that. It's a basic sort of protocol, basic first step to onboarding a new client to the firm.
Right. Doing the due diligence.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've heard about all these sort of Russian guys and other nationals who have been banned from trading their assets. The assets get frozen, right? So you KYC for things around that, things on like illegal companies, dodgy companies, to make sure they've got the right structure in place.
So you're talking about how you felt that you are quite suited to this role because of how dynamic it is.
Yeah, it's very wide varying, and it's close to business. We're close to the bankers, and like every day is generally different. So there's always different queries coming in, and working with different people. So I like that. I like that side of my job. So yeah, it's quite unique. It's quite a unique role. If you saw the job advertised, you'll probably see it advertised as a CAO or business manager role, and you don't really see that as an internal grad. It's quite a very unique role. So yeah, you wouldn't really see it advertised for like grads or interns. But once you do get a job in a bank, you can look out for it. And typically, it's an internal. The role is filled internally. So I got my job because somebody left, basically. So yeah, it's typically filled internally, and it's quite a small team.
So there's varying statistics. I don't know. I don't have the exact figures to hand, but concerning the filling of roles, oftentimes it happens through networking.
Yeah, honestly, that's how I got my role. Which I said to you at the start of this podcast, that networking is key in all aspects. So I used to work in the finance team within the banking space, and I got to know my manager quite well during that role. When I left, because on the finance grad scheme you do few rotations, and one was in that team. Well, was in the finance part of the investment banking team. So I got on with my manager. When I left, I told him, if a role comes up, then let me know. I'll be keen to be part of your team. And a year and a half later, he emails me saying, I remember you said that there's a role come up. Do you want it? So perfect. So I spoke to him, had a few interviews with people I already knew from my time in that space, and I got the job. So prime example, right? Networking. If I didn't send that email thank you, by the way, if anything come up, let me know. You've not even thought of me. So it's always good to ask. You don't ask, you don't get, right?
So, one of your first internships, or I guess industrial placements, was a role at Morgan Stanley as a product controller. What did that role consist of? I guess to give people a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, sure. So I was on the structured products desk, and I was there for a year on industrial placement, like you said, and I was basically assisting the process of P&L production. So as a product controller, you work closely with the traders, right? You're basically validating the firm's books and records on a daily basis, well, to a certain extent on a daily basis. Then at the end of the month, you'll do the balance sheet reconciliations. So on a daily basis, you're working with the traders and verifying their P&L being profit and loss. And we do that on a T+1 basis. So for example, if the traders traded on Monday, we would verify Monday's P&L on Tuesday. That's because markets close, FX prices are fixed. Right, if you did it during the day, there'd be things moving. You couldn't during the day, everything's moving. FX is moving, trades are moving. So it's best to take a snapshot. So we take a snapshot and then do it the following day. So yeah, we work closely with traders to help them understand their P&L and help the firm to verify their profit and loss. So also working closely with operations, because if there's any issues, so if there's any breaks, for example, there's been a trade and it's been done in the wrong currency, for example, that would be a break, and then we'll reach out to operations to get that break fixed. So essentially, it's just verifying the trader's P&L and ensuring that it's correct. That's on a daily basis. Then on a monthly basis, we would do the balance sheet reconciliation. That's making sure that everything we've got on our balance sheet, all our accruals, credit notes, etc., that they're all correct and accounted for. So we want to make sure that if auditors come into the firm and ask us what's on the balance sheet, we can show that we've got substantiation for that. But that's like the basic part of the job, right? But then also the traders have queries like, oh, could you please let me know how much was booked in this account in the last 3 or 4 weeks, or can you help me design? I'm working on this trading strategy. How much P&L do you think I could generate if we did this or did that? So yeah, that's like the bread and butter. But then there's also various other ways that the product controllers add value. So I think nowadays it's more of a business partner role rather than a back office. It's more business partner. We work more closely with the traders. And obviously now that a lot of costs are being cut, a lot of jobs are going, there's a lot less layers between the traders and the guys in finance. So it's good. It's a good place to be. You get to learn a lot about the products because you understand how to make P&L. You understand how to calculate certain returns, and then you also learn about some of the traders' strategies as well. So how they hedge their risk, how they hedge exposure to FX currencies, what makes money, what loses money. And then you also be doing commentary for senior management, and that helps you to understand, put the numbers to context. Because I'm tell you, yeah, I'm doing this FX swap off the back of an Aussie dollar hedge, and you're like, what the heck? And you get to learn about, these acronyms and various phrases you've heard at university and studied, but then seeing it actually applied in real life, it's quite interesting because it's quite different. I often challenge my theory. I was like, what I learned in uni, that's not true, because that's not what these guys are doing. Theory said you can't do this, but these guys just done this yesterday, so does that make sense? So yeah, it's a good way to kind of apply what you've studied to real life. That's any internship really, right? It's any internship. But product control is probably one of the most technical roles within finance. So if you are a technical person, but you don't want to go into a front office space, then product control is good for you because you get that breadth of exposure. Plus, you can sit with the traders and kind of chat with them and see what they're doing, see what they're up to. I often did that. I was quite cool with my traders. I often go down and just chat to them, sit for an hour and just chat about life and a bit about work, about what they're doing, why they've done it, what they think is happening in the market. So they're interesting people to work with, for sure.
Great. So that was very, very insightful.
Yeah, man. Always.
How can people connect with you?
I would say you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think my name and stuff would be on this podcast. So yeah, feel free to reach out. You can message me, connect with me. If you want to email me with anything specific, you can reach out to David, who can give you my email address, and I'll be happy to connect.
Awesome.
So yeah, hope it was useful. Anything you want to know further, feel free just to drop me a note and I'll come back to you. And yeah, all the best with life.
Thanks for taking the time.
Cool, no problem. Thanks for your time, mate.